our boss,
Yeah.
Shane. Yeah, he's kind of hard to work with.
Why? What do you think about the CEO? Since it's just us in here, I think his office is over there. He can't hear us. Like, if you had to be honest with what you think about the CEO.
I don't know if I should share.
2 months ago now, I went to a company called Scroll here in Utah to interview their COO, Dan Page, to find out what it was really like to work there. Now, the reason for that was because when I first saw their company on LinkedIn, it was because of their suspiciously good-sounding benefits. For example, they have a 4-day work week. They had unlimited PTO until they realized not enough people were taking it, so now they have mandatory PTO. I thought to myself, you know what, this seems almost too good to be true, but hey, why not? Let's reach out and see if they respond to an interview request, and then I'll ask them some questions about why they choose to have those benefits when so many other companies choose to go a more traditional route. For the most part, the interview was well received, and I think a lot of people thought it was a pretty cool company. Now, having said that, there were some of you out there that were like, you know what, Josh, you can't believe what they're saying. You need to go back and you need to interview the employees because then you'll get the real story, right? So I thought, you know what, you're right. How do we really know? So I reached back out to Scroll and asked if I could come back and interview some of their employees, and they agreed. So last week, I made the trip back to Scroll, and I had an interview with 5 different employees. The video you're about to watch is with one of them, and I believe that's because he has some insightful information on the CEO that deserves to be exposed. Honestly, the questions and the answers that I received from this person in the interview were very, very different than what I was expecting. Because of course, how honest are they going to be if they know their bosses are going to watch this video? Turns out they were extremely honest. And to further preface this, I know I probably won't ask all of the questions that you want me to ask or ask for clarifications on the answers that they give me, but this was still only the second time that I've been there and the first time that I met the CEO and the employees. Another thing I'd like to add is that the answers you'll hear are from the point of view of a startup. So of course, the answer might change as companies get larger. Without further ado, please enjoy. All right, so I've tried with a few different people now to get some dirt on this company per se, but nobody really has anything to say, and that, I think, in itself says a lot. So we'll try again with the final person here. We have Sean. What's your favorite thing, and what's your least favorite thing?
My favorite thing is probably working with everyone here. I would say my least favorite thing is probably working with like our boss, Shane. Yeah, he's kind of hard to work with.
What do you think about the CEO? Since it's just us in here, I think his office is over there. He can't hear us. Like, if you had to be honest with what you think about the CEO.
I don't know if I should share.
I mean, they told me, well, I guess they told everyone they won't get in trouble, so.
Yeah. I mean, if he keeps his word. I think he can be pretty hard on, like, my department specifically.
But he's never been unreasonable with you, right?
I mean, define unreasonable.
If you were to go to him and be like, I need a pay raise, how would he respond?
Oh, I'd say no way.
You think?
Yeah.
He wouldn't even talk it out?
I'd say no way. I don't think I'm valuable enough to him. He's kind of made that clear to me.
Okay, here's a question. Let's say you're CEO for a day and you have his complete power, access to all the bank accounts. What's the first policy you're changing?
I've heard that they actually don't have that much money in the bank and that they're bleeding. Like, things are struggling pretty bad. And I would probably, so the first thing I would do would probably be let him go. Just because I feel like he's made a lot of poor financial decisions, and we could operate without him and take that whole salary and put it towards actually like growing the business.
What do you think a day in the life looks like for him? You go home, collect a check, and tell other people what to do?
Pretty much.
Do you think he's like the stereotype CEO? Yacht, plane, Tesla?
Yeah, he drives a Tesla. It seems kind of nice.
Come on, we're so close. I finally made it to the CEO. I finally got there, boys and girls. After roasting so many, I've made it to. This is Shane, not Sean, and he's the actual CEO of the company. Last time you met Dan, which is the COO of the company.
Dan's more important than I am.
That's very honest of you to say.
Yeah. Half of what I said is true, besides that I have fancy stuff. And we're not bleeding.
For the record, I have nothing on here, but it's just funny, right? Yeah. So I guess we'll just jump straight to it. Yeah. So if quiet quitting, at least on my channel and stuff, how we refer to it, people going in, fulfilling their duties to your satisfaction, where you're like, good job, thank you, everything's good, you can go do whatever. How do you feel about that?
Sadly, I think that's to an employer's advantage. And the reason I say that is because doing more than your job technically warrants more money. I think in a startup specifically like us, if somebody comes in, goes home, and doesn't want to be involved in our company culture or the growth of the company, they're not going to be seeing me knock on the door to offer them a raise. Now, if somebody does it, I would hope that they would just be honest with me and say like, hey, this isn't working. I think I need to find another job because I don't see a growth trajectory here. I think really the question of quiet quitting is, why are you quiet quitting?
Some people might be stuck because they need the health insurance and they hate their job, so they don't want to go above and beyond. They just want the health insurance. So they do their job and they go home. How do you feel about people like that?
Personally, I feel like it's a miserable way to live.
But they can't leave, so they're just stuck. So like, what do you recommend?
Like, I think that there's always opportunity in the world. Or you could go start applying for new jobs while quiet quitting at your current one. I think that's totally fine. I know that happens everywhere. I know that even with our company culture and 11 people here, I know some of them are probably on the lookout for other jobs that might pay more or have different opportunities, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Entrepreneurs need to be humble. Business owners need to be humble and realize you're the only person that cares at all about what you're doing. Everyone else is here for money, experience, and maybe a lifestyle, right? That's what your company provides for them. That might not answer your question. I think that circumstances can be difficult and can make life really hard and put people in really sticky situations.
Do you think people would say that you have a bit of perhaps survivorship bias since you've made the company and had success?
Yeah.
But for other people that haven't had that, they might look at you and say, you've done it. Of course you're saying it's possible.
Agreed. I think a lot of people that have said negative things about me online in the past have brought up privilege. And the one thing that I would say to that is, you're totally right. I actually grew up in a house where my dad was an entrepreneur. We were really broke when I was young, but I watched him grow into success. I grew up in Utah in this like tight-knit community. So me being able to understand how other people feel in their circumstances and situations, I have no clue, but I would do what I can to try and help those situations.
Let's say you and Shane decide to cash out. What happens to everyone else here? Would you help facilitate a transition? Would you try to bring them into whatever you do next, or?
That's a good question. I haven't even thought about it because I haven't thought about leaving. You know, I would want to sell it to the right people that could operate the way we've been operating. Like, I think I'd be pretty stingy on the type of people that we'd sell it to. But also new ownership brings changes that I can't control. I have to do what's in my best interest and my staff's best interest. So I would consider them making a sell. I just don't know what I'd do. I'd want to keep them on and hopefully keep a 4-day work week for them. Yeah. Or promote. Like, we have a few people that I've thought they could run this. Like, I don't even need to be here. Luckily, I went into this with a partner, so my exit plan has always been, hey, if he wants to leave, I'll run it. If I want to leave, he'll run it. Yeah.
How do you handle having to fire someone?
We've only let go of one person in 4 years. And he was a friend of mine from high school. And he was actually doing videography for us, and we ended up kind of like diminishing that department due to our own failures, right? Like, had nothing to do with him. So we had the conversation, and it tore him apart. It was terrible. But he has kind of started his own business since, and we support him. I had a call with him yesterday. Like, we're good friends. I had a call with him yesterday, gave him access to some of our tools for free, and was like, yeah, you can use these. His wife ended up crushing it as a business owner on TikTok. Like, it ended up being a really good thing for him, and we're able to still be really good friends and support each other. I will say, I'm gonna have to let go of more people in my career. I know that. It's very evident in a startup when someone's not doing their job. Or if we're losing money and that's my fault, and I will hold that weight. Like, there have been times where I've taken the pay cut to keep my staff on, and we do that.
When you decide how much you want to pay someone, how does that, like, what's that process look like for you? You call an HR consultant and you're like, what do I do? Or
no, I just, I'm like, how's this sound? I don't. For us, we know what we can afford. Like, for us, hiring an employee, anytime you hire someone, it's a big commitment for us, and it's a big commitment for them. It's a risk both ways. Yeah. And what we've learned in recent months is that it's a risk to work for the biggest startup in Silicon Valley. Anytime you take a new job, it's a risk. Anytime we offer, it's a risk. I come up with what I think would be appropriate for the role and that what we can afford. I struggled thinking about raises over the years, right? We give out raises as we grow and pay people what we can. I'd love to pay everyone more. Our customers just need to pay us more. So if I started all over again, I'd probably build a solopreneur business. I work with a lot of people around my own age that live close to me too, and are friends of mine. There's a phrase in Moneyball, Brad Pitt, he won't go into the locker room or travel with the team.
I can't develop personal relationships with these guys. I gotta be able to trade them, send them down, sometimes cut them.
And it's a sad scenario, but I've even felt that, and I hate it because I love a lot of the people that I work with and I want to be really good friends with them. But sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, if I get too close or if I become too much of a friend, then I worry they won't like respect the decisions I have to make in business to like make sure our business grows. That trade-off and understanding the fine line there is hard for me. Don't like it.
Probably first the CEO that's shown any sort of like explanation.
Well, there's no sympathy for the CEO, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Let me just run through some buzzwords that come off the top of my head. How do you feel about rage applying?
What is that? I don't even know what
That's when you just have a moment at work where you're like, you know what? I'm looking for a new job because I'm done. Seems pretty normal.
Yeah, maybe that is a sign.
Okay, that's how I felt when I made the video about it. But it's a new trend. It's applying to new jobs when you're unhappy with your current job. So basically quiet quitting, but you're angry.
I would just recommend if you want a new job, like don't stop applying for new jobs.
Oh, career cushioning is also applying to new jobs while you have a job. But you're not angry this time, and you're not doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You're just applying to jobs.
Fair. I think that's how people really ramp up their salary in a quick 8 years, right? They jump every 2 years and use their salary as leverage against another one. If I wasn't running a company, that's what I'd be doing. Like, I understand that.
Now, you heard it here first. See, like he understands. Look out for you.
I think that's the one thing I have told my staff so many times is like, it's because this pissed me off when I worked for a company. Like, you keep your best interest in mind, I keep my best interest in mind, and we respect that we're both doing that. That solves a lot of problems. Yeah. We're all in this together. Like, if they want to be here 10 years and making 250 grand or 350 grand, like I tell all of them, if you're still making the same amount you're making right now, a year from now or 2 years from now, obviously you're not growing here. Or obviously I'm not doing a good job growing this company. So maybe stop putting so much faith in me. Weirdly, as a startup, it's like, well, do your role really, really well and maybe you'll get a raise, right? That's how normal companies work. Early on this year, we had this conversation where I said, all of you are doing exceptional at your jobs, and it sucks that we can't give everyone massive raises. Because sadly, the way that this economy works is we have to make more money as a company. What we've told our staff for this year, where we were giving annual raises, and this year, because we didn't grow as much last year as we wanted, we said, hey, raises will come as we grow, sadly. Even though you're all doing amazing at your jobs, we have to see more revenue come across the table. We run pretty lean, think about it. 11 people on staff. We cover health insurance. We have a nice office. We do a 4-day work week. We have 15 people overseas. We do about $1.5 million. It's not a lot of money that goes home for me. Like,
Have you ever thought about not having this and saving that in some other way?
Totally. Yeah. I think sometimes office is like an ego play or an impulse thing. We signed this assuming like we really want to grow into it. But this is $4,000 a month. That could be another staff member or a raise somewhere. Something we've played around with is maybe working Mondays from home, working here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, and then slowly working into like a more remote flex situation. It's hard to be remote as a startup though.
It's interesting because you mentioned at the beginning, if you live close, you basically got to come.
Yeah.
So if someone is like, I don't want to this week, what would you do? You'd be like, why?
Well, yeah, I'd just say, why not? Yeah. I mean, if they have personal things and they need to work from home for a week, I understand that.
What if they were just like, I want to take a trip and work remote?
Yeah, we've done that. Part of me I would probably say, please don't. Like, I would just say, if you're taking a trip and working remote, you're not really taking a trip. What I like to tell people is if you're going to take a week and go to Hawaii and say like, but I'm going to work, to me, I'm like, well, I want the best of you. And I think that you're going to get the best of you by enjoying a week. And I'm going to get the best of you by having you work when you're at work and not work when you're not at work. There's a lot of power to that.
What if they went somewhere like with their spouse and it's like a free extra ticket for them?
Yeah. Oh, totally flexible stuff like that. Like I just got back from Europe and I worked remote in Europe for a month. Like I would never do anything that I would say no to.
I think that's a commendable way to do things. Here's a question that I got in the comments of the last video, and people were interested in how the people overseas are treated. Because obviously there's a level of global arbitrage, no matter how you want to say it, dollars here go further there.
Yeah, that is such a good question and a great thing to bring up, because something that frustrated me early in our business, people would say, oh, do you have any overseas staff? and they were worried about performance because of it. I understand from a language standpoint where they worry that we might be writing content that might not be in perfect English because they don't speak English as a first language. That frustrated me and made me think, like, why would you assume just because someone's not American they're doing lesser quality work? So we actually put all of our staff in the Philippines on our website. To me, I wanted that to be like a statement that says, hey, these people work for Scroll, they're a part of our team, and we take care of them. We actually hired a lot of family members and people that all live in like the same community. I don't know, you should try, like, maybe at some point I could have you do a little interview. But anyway, I just think we try to treat them really well. I think we could always do a better job. They get paid fair. We put them on our website to make a statement to say, like, we care about these people. We're very transparent about the fact that we work with them.
What would be your most controversial LinkedIn post, you think?
Probably that I said Elon Musk has done a lot of cool stuff. And people were like, yeah, but he's the worst person ever. I'm like, yeah, that's probably true as well.
And he doesn't even know I exist.
Yeah, so I don't care.
Yeah.
But thanks for feeding the algorithm. Sometimes I can get in a one-track mind approach, and that can be my downfall. And the one thing I wish my staff would do more of, like after my staff was interviewed by you, I was like, hey, did you talk crap on me? Like joking around. And I was like, I want you to talk to him the way you talk to your wife about me. Because that's what I want to understand more about myself. I don't care what people say or what their reactions are. It gives me an opportunity to learn. So that's what I think is I had more of, so please roast me.
Since I'm the middleman, I guess, so to speak, is like, how much do I include of what they said? Because of course you say nothing will happen, but like, of course they're wondering if you're taking mental notes, and I'm wondering if you're, it's weird.
That's the hard part is, there's a song where he says, why are all the people around me my assistants? Like, where did all my friends go? And I think as an employer, it's really easy when you do hang out with your coworkers that are also kind of your friends to realize, like, I pay you. So obviously you're going to be like overly nice to me. Where what would my friends say about me that I don't pay and have no monetary connection to me? I'm not buying their lunch every now and then.
How do you feel about company family? No go?
No go.
Sports team?
Sure. Go create your own family. If you associate work with family, you will always be disappointed.
What's the hardest day you've ever had?
Hardest day I've ever had is the day that we bought out our partner, because it made me think there's someone out there that's not gonna like me. Or did I make the right decision? Did I pay him too much? Did I pay him too little? Did he deserve it? Did I not deserve this situation, right? I think Dan saw how stressed I was. Like, Dan was so good about being like, Shane, I want to be there to like, he knew it was harder on me for some reason, but Mason helped us a lot. He gave us the name Scroll, like so much good stuff. But Mason and I are very alike. And I've always said, like, we're great friends on a golf course, but like in business, we just butt heads, which sucked. So we ended up saying, like, hey, I think a buyout would be good, and Mason agreed. Like, it was all very mutual.
Really?
Yeah.
This is way more than I was expecting from the 5 minutes I asked earlier. Sorry.
Yeah, what time? We're good. We're totally good. I just don't feel like I'm a CEO. I feel like I'm just, running a company that has some people.
Yeah.
I just apologize. Your video is going to be 4 hours long.
No. Because if anything, I have more videos.
Yeah, you can make a series.
You're Shane for a day. You got 24 hours, you're Shane. What's the first policy you change?
Oh, that's a good question.
You got infinite power as Shane. What you doing? Yeah.
Give me a second. I've never had this much power before. It's I don't know.
I'm surprised you didn't say, well, I'm increasing Taylor's salary 100%.
Now that you mention it.
To be perfectly honest here, I am at a loss almost at how transparent Shane was willing to be throughout that entire interview. Every time I thought he was going to say something that would be a bad take, he countered it with self-awareness.
I think a lot of people that have said negative things about me online in the past have brought up privilege. And the one thing that I would say to that is, you're totally right.
It was one of the most balanced and honest conversations I've had in a long time, and yes, I really did interview the other employees the same day I interviewed the CEO. The reason that I'm showing you him first and the employees after this is so that you can see if what he says matches up with the opinions of the employees that work there. I spent about 6 hours interviewing the employees until my battery started to die, and so that's why you have this weird shot of us at the end of the table just kind of like haphazardly put there and like, all right, go. Because I wasn't really expecting this interview to be that long, to be that open, to be that transparent, or for him to be that down to earth and that self-aware. To further clarify, there's been no money that has exchanged hands. They also gave me this hydro jug and a scroll hat. So in the end, I really did my best to respect everyone's boundaries. Of course, I was willing to challenge certain answers, but there's no way I'm going to try and force someone to answer a question or talk about something they don't want to talk about. I worked a long time on this video, so if you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed his perspective, please hit that like button. Now, I'll attach the socials for Shane and Dan down as a comment below, so if you want to check them out, you can. One thing I do need to note is that they aren't hiring for developers right now. Since the last video, they've been overrun with applications. I think they got like 300 of you applying to work there, all as developers, and there's only 11 people there in the office right now. So, however, they did say that they will be hiring for other positions that aren't specifically developer related. From what I can tell, they still seem open to making more content in the future, so if you have any ideas for future videos you want to see, you can leave them down in the comments below. I was thinking maybe a day in the life of the CEO, but it's not a meme video, and it's actually useful and insightful, hopefully, if he is useful and insightful at the company. Who knows? We would find out in that video, right? It'd be funny. If you have anything else you'd like me to check out, you can reach me. The socials are all down in the description. There's also some links in there that support the channel, so you can check those out if you want. Having said all that, I hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.